Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another tool review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Cutter, Wonder Cutter ultrasonic knife with an oscillator inside it. It is very similar to the US Tech Z041 that I've bought from Japan. This was gotten off Kickstarter. I got an early bird tier that would get the actual tool, which was about a year from release, a little late, but I'm not too fussed at all, and half off retail. This will be available at some point. I will put any links when it's on for sale in the description section and share around. So having a look, it's marketed to multiple disciplines including scale modelling. Very nice looking box, good advertisement. The important thing to consider is the input is both 100 and 240 volts, so those in the US, Europe, Australia can definitely use it. And it came with a pair of gloves. I'm not sure if it's only for the Kickstarters. This was received just about a little more than a week ago. Everybody else should have it. First, we're given the instructions, nicely printed, very well laid out in its pictorial instructions, all in English. After 10 minutes of continuous use, it will thermo out and turn off. It's very sensitive to heat, and from my experience, these things generate a lot of heat to the point where they do turn off quite rapidly, especially with the Z041. Quite a few OHS and tips on how to maintain it, safely use it, all that sort of thing. Definitely keep out of heat and moisture and all that. My last one has worked very well for up to years. It's a bit out of calibration and thermos out quite quickly, though it's still fairly useful. As the certificates, if you happen to want to import it, or thanks, somewhere around here has my kind of man written there. Now, cracking it open, it's all nicely wrapped and put in plastic, stored in a way where damage won't occur. The unit is far smaller than anything else on the market. I'll just shorten it a bit. The unit stays pretty much stored as such. Same as the Z041, or 30-degree blades, a pack of 40. Tamir makes these as well as XL, so they're very, very easily bought. You don't have to buy it from the company, which is quite expensive. A parts bag with 2 Allen keys. They said they're a bit fragile and break, so they added extras, as well as extra screws. They do not have another housing, which Z041 did have. Power supply comes out from the back. Don't put anything here to prevent it from overheating. Could clip to your belt or walk around with. Nicely etched in. And the front, where you store the head, and this turns on. It is battery powered and came charged. This pops out as well, so you can stand it up like so. To change the blade, there is an Allen key socket that goes in there. There is extra screws. Just put it in and you spin it around so it loosens up a bit. Take the blade out. Make sure the chuck stays inside. Put a new blade in. Adjust it so it's nice and straight, and re-tighten it up, but not to overclock it or put too much force, as you will thread it and ruin the unit. A lot like the Japanese one, the metal pole goes deep in to the oscillator. We've got the on and off button here, and the whole handle to hold it. It seems to be in quite nicely. The wire is very insulated, nice and flexy. Hard to wreck or ruin. Pull it out, turn it on, and then you hold it down. When you hold it down, it's cutting, and when you let go, it stops cutting. Very impressed. It was absolutely silent. I conduct ourselves a cutting test. I've got a various amount of materials that are very common to scale modelling. Some 1/2 mil and 1 mil styrene plates. Styrene, resin, polycap, ABS, Gundam part. We'll see if we can do a straight line. And that was very, very, very smooth. Made a slight humming sound. We'll try that again. And it just goes insanely quick. And it didn't really melt or anything. It's quite a crisp cut. Unlike the Z041, no practice required. It's pretty much the second time I've ever used. You could sort of course a line or draw shapes and stuff. It'd be a lot easier for me to use if I didn't have a tripod in between my legs. Go a lot slower. And we're just coursing into the material. Didn't really cut all the way through, though in theory it should just snap off quite easily. Try cutting it in a straight line, and that works quite nicely. So I was able to follow the pattern without issue. So we've got a bit of resin here. So it does cut through quite nicely, so it trimmed it. And let's go through a really, really, really thick piece. And this is quite powerful. It's taking a while. And you can see it's starting to smoke and melt a bit. So you got to really take your time, but for a job like that, I'd have just used a saw. But Polycap's got a very low melting point and reacts badly to heat. Let's try it out. And it cuts through it quite well without distortion. Pretty easy. This is a styrene piece, so if we're going to remove nubs, works quite well. And if we're going to do something a bit more complex, cut right through without distorting the parts too much. Now, gun the parts are quite big and you've got the peg holes and all sorts of things going on. We're going to try to cut out a panel. So we'll cut out a little square here, which is probably one of the best bits about using an ultrasonic cutter. So we're just going to slide the tip into this little box, following the panels. And it slides quite smoothly. Right in there too. So ideal for things like open hatches and all that sort of thing. Very, very tricky cut to do. Very easy to make a mistake though. Though so much quicker than the previous model. There we go. And we'll just clean it up a bit more. Too easy. And try to knock it out. And there you go. We've got a cut out panel. Cut a piece in half. We'll take off just the ankle guard. And we'll just follow the seam lines or the panel lines all the way around in the neatest way possible. Now I'm doing a bit quick and sloppy, though obviously you'll do it so much neater if you had to. Generally, this definitely shows off the power of this tool. So in this test we are going to use both cutters and cut right through a very, very tough ABS part. Now the original one from US Tech took quite a while. I got the angle just right, but had to carve right around it, only using the levitation of the tip, which went for about 35 seconds until I was able to snap it in half. It's quite jagged and did melt in some bits, as well as thermoing out at one point, which required a quick reset. The Ultra Cutter was far smoother. This material is quite tough, so I had to find the tip right angle for leverage. Once that happened, without flipping the bit, I was able to saw right through it using the entire length of the blade. So mind you, the US Tech model to the left is still an excellent machine, though very expensive. And the Ultra Cutter should be retailing cheaper, but we're not 100% sure at this stage. It just performed far quicker, far smoother, far easier to use. Though I think the best thing is, and as it's not plugged in right now, the internal battery. Pretty much the two are very, very similar. There's just a smoothness, a power, as well as a speed element to the Ultra Cutter. If you already have the US Tech, it'll serve you and do generally the same thing. But if you are in a market to buy one, I think hands down this model is the way to go. Really enjoyed using it, and I'll be very interested to see how far and what future projects I will build. I will be selling off my older units, but pretty happy with what it's done for me to this point. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. I did kickstart a few tools, so as they come through, I'll be testing them and showing them on this channel for hobby use. Catch you guys next time.